Go na tsa drasa.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just check.
So chinang lo tsawa. Tati short down me ne kuntongo mi shiten rotsan. Short down
Peshodang dumba do dumba la jeba dumba la ola de flamayen doyo marawa.
37. Okay, done. Lota kare song da.
De hla gongda me teni de flamayen la da dung doyo marawala.
Okay, page number
I think page 7 or shot.
Yeah, 7.
Photos.
Hey, Danny Chaka to put the July nego to machine. Young to do the Lanam to Jubasan did. Okay, Lami Rido Takunda. Da Karisina, da Konishipana, Dutu Tubana, Tune, the Lada Lami Yolatona, Sunujin Jik, Lami Lami del Tone. Then omi to bushe kan ko son sam. Then yang pex yang ti dit repen regne der lader lamini tini ton rekpa tamche tini thupa sa rek jan ta thora ni ani mo bit be shi se be pakya thupa san ta ta je tang ge lader lamini khatang e shwa na ji ke lader lamini le domhar pe samdi ma cha pe karesina ye lami ge tatsu sinida lai yuan ya ben na pe lo chen de xin to de we de ya lami ne jian de ni lai yer ke de de we de le long se jian ne ni zhou ba mo bo shu ne de je je yong ge pe le la de lami de tatsu de dong ha se ta ding chang pe cha ge de ma chou ja de long ba ni ne je ke san de je ke go san de ya de ni ma mang de so la kang ar dong ar de ni center Chin ni mo ko le nyan kan kala ji so an draw mi pa de cha de tel pe la ge de den de dan la da de ri la mi zo de ri zo ten ya mi do pe na den de re de de dong ha ta di yo la ngo zo ma je de ngo ne ngo zo ga wa gom ne chu ji ya
So here then where we left off, we had gone through the section of offering the nectar to the humans in the human realm. And then now with the jealous god realms or the Asura realms. So as it says, pay with the skull in your hand, you're still in the form of Vajra Yogini. You scoop out some nectar, some amrita, and you sprinkle this over the world of the Asuras, transforming it into the Buddha land Ogmin or Akanishta. And as soon as the nectar touches the beings of that realm, the Asuras, it completely purifies the three veils of their obscurations, the obscurations of afflictive emotions, obscurations of karma, and the subtle cognitive obscurations, transforming them into the enlightened state of Vajra Yogini. So as she said, she kind of alluded to this yesterday with, with regard to the kind of like struggle and anguish experienced by people in war-torn countries. So actually, you know, even though one tends to think of these as like the pinnacle of existence, you know, the higher realms of gods and demigods or asuras, there's actually tremendous suffering in these realms, especially in the demigod realms, because they are tormented by jealousy and fighting. So the story is that there is a great wish-fulfilling tree that was planted, or whose roots are in the demigod realm, and it grows out of the demigod realm, but then the branches that bear all of the fruit are in the god realms above the demigod realms. So the demigods are just beside themselves with anger and jealousy, because they are the ones who own this tree and tend to this tree, but they don't get to enjoy any of the results, any of the fruits. They are instead taken and used by the gods and the god realms above them. And so they're always tormented by this, and are trying to battle with the gods above them that they can't possibly defeat. And so there's just this endless suffering, you know, and strife and warfare over this tree. And so it's not so different from the experience of those who are living, you know, in a state of constant struggle, strife and warfare, you know, like, you know, they can't sleep. They are completely consumed by anger and fear, where they can't even enjoy food. They're unable to really, really be present with or appreciate even, you know, anything, because they're just completely overwhelmed by this struggle. And so when we think about this, you know, and the suffering of these realms, again, it should engender us a sense of real appreciation and just awareness of our great fortune, you know, to be here or born in the time and place that we are, and with all of the conditions present to practice Dharma and really devote ourselves to the cultivation of virtue.
Naso dini datina ni hlari dani chag tuba tsu hlari ni guta hlas ni dela na rotan de ta de ji atan dini shinkang go ya ta dini jepa son ta ya de ta de son je de rotan ji pa ri ya je shi de su chola ta hla ta hlami ni josin ta hlai hlas ni hla chen por che wa che sona ta ganga kai yor sin ta hla chen por la che hla potong ke dongar si ni ko pe chen por che teni lo chong ka psala teni ngarang kare go sam na yu de sa sam sa ya tongon tonya teni chma shimbo le chma kha mi pa to lo chma kha mi pa de cha teni de la shin cha lo de teni lo ma po je le shya mi de ta sharing ga lo chimbo de teni potong ke dongar se ta koran na ngma mi pa teni le chma kha to lo ning ba cha 당 해마 로총 값으로 르르 좀 가야미 받으니 제 나라 가르 고스나 유대와 둘러라 닝바 차야미 봐 나다 라트 남부터서 그러 빠체 된대지 근데 게임 값으로 그르 좀 가야다 되니 닝바 차야다 된대 차다 나 코발마 long de tini kamsan ko alam mardi long de la ha ko ne tini pe dongar son ti mecha pe yores te la podon ke dongar nasa
So So then Drupon is saying, since it's really the same sequence that we see, in each section with what happens, with the visualization and everything, she said no need to go through that again. It's kind of a waste of time. So instead, we'll just kind of, she said, speak to the heart of like what is really the contemplation, or how we can contemplate with each section with regard to the suffering of these different realms. So in the God realm, these are now the long life gods who pretty much have a pretty enjoyable existence up until the time where they're approaching their demise, which is referred to as the period of transition, and death, and falling to lower rebirths. So these long life gods, while, for most of their life, they are, they kind of have anything that they could wish for. They're beautiful. They're kind of endowed with this luminous complexion. Their divine garments are always fresh. Their bodies smell really fragrant. They have this fresh garland of flowers that they always, wear around their necks. And then when and they have lots of companions, and they just enjoy this extremely long existence in God realms. But then as their merit becomes exhausted and they start to experience the signs of their inevitable transition, then they start to smell, their bodies start to smell, their clothes become old and soiled. They lose, the luminosity of their complexion. Their companions that were once, always sort of playful with them and always surrounding them with a joyful attitude, suddenly become kind of repulsed by them and keep their distance. And so in this moment, during this period, they have tremendous suffering. And it's very painful because they've had so much abundance of pleasure up to this point, and it's a big shock, the change. And then they see that what this is indicating is they're approaching death, and that once they die, they will have exhausted all this merit throughout their experience, their existence as a god, and that they'll have no choice but to take rebirth in lower states of existence. And so they become extremely fearful and suffer a great deal at this time.
Now, so that redog ne jang den drosine, then dent namkasine, dent namka that deri kalisina, concho season drum. Tini gompo yuntin drum, redog ninja drum. Kashik that de la dungig lincha drum and a balloon lincha drum.
So
Concho season drum. Gompo yuntin drum. Gigre redog ninja syndrome, draw the dollar tongue of ninja and drum boy redog ninja drum. Jenny Gary in charge and drone lamna triggery, Pelon in charge and drone lamna trigger. That they main check the tone, Tonda Kaka. Enjoy the thing was okay. Mantasha Giants, Tambo them danger namka lama yedam, that so danger namka lama ta yedam. That lama yedam the chin number shira, the dodge the rank saver lama. Yedam say not in it. Any power than candle, concho, chijonji, Sanje concho, chukujo, gendo conchos and the chijonji. Near rectos and raw recto, niji and drone. Yinterengas and that penna carriation at that did in the pen, drone, put the pen on a candle. Ta penna nando chigaina. It's in about drone put. Check and drop a chin of a pro cheese, it other Nagachiranto Shila get angins. 이게 drone 라그라 뜻어라. 이제 다치 라단 라마 예단도 야 통니 바다 야 주반벌 데데지 네 도아레토르 닌제 컨트롤 땅고 그 빈자에는 정오 시반의 파마 마시브 지장미다 상다 지바인선은 drone 보는데 다 게르 린차진 drone 라야데라 플론 린차진 drone 신이데 카레람나 디리 라이바 데인데 인지랭하 벤드베노 펜난 drone 보나 Như ya po chini nga la nu pa tang na nga jana tini nga jana dren buya ta tini nga jana chi Machig Labdron chi nga jana ta ta so tang de gek pa chi ya sim na song ka na drum bu de kapsala tini koran so pa shwa cha ro res den de so ke so pong de mata paran ji tini jimran ji ताकवा में बात देजिन मला मला जेले त गांगा यो पाला जे छोदे त ngotsola na cha tang dongge da parche ta ta chi nga jawa ta tang tinte kare je na susor thug maris ne pinyo de jo ga pinyo de kare sena ta te so kare so ta ja menta ja de ben menta ji ja na chung ge pig maris ju ya ko nyane je so na de ne ni ha ro jan na so so na ta ja ya ta ni ha ja magic do che na so so ta ga ma res
memda ja na yang tu ga mare
ka she da per na ro je ni ma ma na so de te a o la ma po la so de jo ne men da pa jam ne de ya la de te a ta la o ne ya lo ku ma do sa de na shi ke de ne men da ja na chun song la ha de chun song ta ga ma res
So now we've gone through the 6 realms that the nectar is offered to. And so then we have also in the practice of Chöd, there's always the mention of the 4 guests, the 4 types of guests. So these 4 types of guests are the exalted guests of the enlightened ones, or the 3 jewels. And then secondly, the guests endowed with qualities or enlightened qualities of the Dharma protectors, Dharmapalas and protectors. Third are the guests of compassion, who are the 6 classes of sentient beings. And fourth are the guests of karmic debts, with whom, our karmic creditors and those with whom we have karmic debts. So first, here we have also then as it continues, we have the first of these guests, the exalted guests of the 3 jewels, which include the Lama, Yidam, so one's root guru, and whomever, here it is, the Yidam Vajra Yogini, but whoever it is that is one's Yidam deity. In this space in front of you, there appears the Guru, Vajradhara, who is in essence your own root Lama, the Yidam, Dakas and Dakinis, the 3 precious jewels, and then the second level of guests, the Dharmapalas, the guests of enlightened qualities, the Dharmapalas, and then the third type of guests, the beings of the 6 existences, or the 6 realms in their purified form. And those beings who do harm to others through the power of spells, and those evil spirits and demons causing obstructions to others. So this is referring to the guest of, karmic creditors and debtors. So it's not so different from really, like she said, if she's holding a big feast, and she's and you're inviting all of these guests to your feast. And so especially when it comes to the unruly spirits, harmful energies, these like karmic creditors who do harm to others, that harmful intent is pacified when you befriend them. So you invite them to this feast, and with great compassion, you know, you without a mind of fear, you know, recognizing the truth of impermanence, seeing the illusory nature of all phenomena, then when they are satisfied and sort of softened by the warmth of your affection and compassion, then their mind changes and they're no longer inclined to cause harm. And so then there comes great benefit in this sort of extending, you know, whereas when we respond to harm doers with harm, or trying to forcefully reject or ward off or block, you know, that this actually tends to increase the energy of the obstruction. Whereas when there's just complete openness and acceptance, then this is what actually has sort of the magical power of endowing or bringing on cities and attainments that actually really do, in fact, serve as protection, you know, and can do so in such a way that one becomes invincible to weapons, and cannot be harmed by the spells or incantations of others. So just like, for instance, there's a story of Garchen Rinpoche when he was fighting in the you know, against the you know, during the Cultural Revolution, and he was shot a number of times, but the bullets didn't harm him at all. They just completely, you know, there was no evidence of any harm. It was like they just dissolved into space.
So some change a pompo tower years, that con up and drawn shed it in it. Some changes is that in a chain I hip, Nakala chain, ye mean a chain pong, so got a younger outing I should get con up, and drawn here the pepsons and in it. A car more conservatum and a dinner bin at the snap in it in it. That con drawn here the red choked and drawn here the some drawn bone that Nagar more comes in the snap, the tombani. Ni tongpa ni de dani o de ta ni ma jiwa mi ba de de sinap ji de ne dren de jan na burgers ne ta pen na mo zo jan thong de tin chan ja ma li cho ta mo tong je america de do cho ta ja lo je ji bo da de na shi ke de ne ja burger ke de ne kon na ba ke ya je ne chu de ja de ji bo de pen de lan chen de sa de ha ma ra ko to did kona ba dutsa did genela bobona tsar ripa tang hatini yi tsamba da gapon reason some did tsemson some and it picks jinji zawa da jibejo padena matapa no sharda oma ne ya picks the ya jinji zawa da jibejo padena sharda sin ta kala chesa mason kala ra ya bear you some did in anyamne chigores.
So then, so we're inviting all these 4 types of guests, and we think that they have gathered around in the space before us like amassing clouds, you know, like piling clouds. And then we recite the Om Akparo Mukam Sarva Dharma, etc. And then with this, you know, the meaning of this is that all phenomena are the unborn nature of emptiness, and that is my own self nature. And so then, as it says, all those guests, from the guru to the disturbing spirits, they partake of the nectar as that with their Vajra tongue. So their tongues become like a Vajra shape with a tube and through this tube, they suck up, or they ingest, or they take in the nectar, just like straws. You know, in America, she said, we drink cold drinks with straws, and then we, you know, suck the water into our mouths with these straws. So it's kind of like that. And then we can think that as all these guests then partake of this nectar, the moment that it hits or touches their tongue, they give rise to a feeling of great satisfaction. So they're satiated, they're satisfied, they fully enjoy. So it says, after having tasted the Amrita through their Vajra tongues, they have enjoyed it and are satisfied. And then it says, this Amrita is being offered to the kind root guru and the gurus of the lineage, Om Ahung. And so we are offering, now we're, you know, these are the words of offering the nectar.
Laso, pek yedam jude yedam trebe, junko ramjaja laso namja sharda onsi, ta duze de ya berka yore de ta yedam jude yede, dini cha ju namjar la nami ba ju, o deri, dini kordan jeba namla, ramjam de laso sinna pe, ramjam namla jege karesin, pe ne yami ba, che yayami ba pe, mangpo. Namka nashi, teni de lazo pe mangpo la teni sharde yamba ku sam pe ramji yeni yopa ta berya de duze de kene sapa mi pas sami de duze rima de sache ge duze mare sache ge duze ena teni ma kamsan ko ala sa ro ya de sache ja teni sami de duze de barho pe si ramji yeni yopa pa wa tan kan ro ta ramji yeni yopa pa wa tan kan ro ko cho ro ba Gongni yanjar ten na hirido, teso la tsangwa ko sam.
So what we're doing here is we're reinforcing, you know, this process of offering up to all of the guests, the exalted guests we've offered to the root gurus and the kind root gurus and the gurus of the lineage. And then next we offer this this Amrita is being offered to the yidams of the 4 classes of Tantra. So the 4 classes being, you know, all the yidams belonging to all the 4 classes of Tantra, the, you know, Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Anuttara Yoga Tantra, with the deities of countless number of mandalas, Om Ahung. And so we're offering to all and then this Amrita is offered to those dakas, dakinis, the 3 precious jewels, and so on. And so, you know, the nectar that is being partaken of has this quality of inducing, you know, deep meditative absorption and realization of the ultimate nature. So it's the undefiled nectar. If it were defiled nectar, then it would become a cause of wandering in the 3 realms of cyclic existence. But it's the undefiled nectar, and so it has the quality of liberation upon taste.
Naso, teni tampa ishi chijong suma ishi jajina di tuji dan tada wansur ngani bata tuji sina tuk niji jimbo jinre zai dan teni tada jen nipa teni chana dorji.
Gapardo de pechanang arbe.
Chana ri tata teni tampa ishi chijong suma ishi jajina di.
Yeah.
Yo teni tuji dan tada jelada. Ta ten jera karesina.
Yeah.
Laya de tuk ninji chimbo rangi teni jinre zai. Tadab jiwa so pe nipa top da nipa chimbo yinpa teni chana dordi. Teni wanso nga nipa si rawang yupa nga nipa la rawang yupa la kogara nga nipa namji shardong te tsang la teni tuk ninji chimbo zewa tuk ninji chimbo da teni nipa chi chana dordi. 그래서 ngani pa tanje le yam perkuya sam pek cheram kowa toba mi panisita ngozo goni shipana cheram kowa toma mi panitini ngozo data parte kamsum redog kowaten ngozo kadan goni shiwan kamsum redog latini ngozo kolonashin kodersi then kowalan korsonayna ngozo dewan jin do vejiste donga jori then kowani tarsona then tapa da ti ba kadena pe jipo dan dewo yore mo ten de courts in the sector so can it just ta gon ne xuyên ba ji ka xie pu chung chung zhu guan ne yu ge de xie rou de xie tong tong de ta de de jie wang he ma mo zo ge ta nang ba san ji ba ge ka re se na mo zo pa xie ne zhe jie wa lin ya ge xie he yu de ten de ne pa se wa de jie de de lin ta ge ni chen chen tong ge lin cha 파 메라 동아다 데데베게 되니 나차 나차다 강에 유데데 데켈린차 다다 레라 되니 고조 세너들린차다 그마쿠 센트로 텐데데들린차게 나 딩장펠나 페 차찬 아메리카에나다 유럽 아메리카 진짜 칼라카 요르남죠 유럽 또 진짜 칼라카 요르 홈레스 페 마모 보여 데데다 지어하마가 제 mala ta de ke len cha ke na cha ni koma ko de ke len cha ke ni homeless o tin de ni le jim de so
homeless kang pa me ba la ge we
ri
yeah
koma ko de koma ko de len cha la ni e te ka de na kang ba de sa da kang ba me ba kala sa 칼라미 방문해진다 또 진짜 칼라 홈레스 문해지는 미국 선내데 요라 근데 렉 레든 드라이어스 사실 축보 차요를 수직에 줄한다 축보진의 제대요 말때 축보 차 사실 칼라는 대사케요 말때서 다 지방 힘마게 된데진 렌차 데데다 배차 추 신예데 지 나랑 그 꼬마지나 나를 렌차 된도 당가 것 마제니 야사리산 산소라 야캅 참던가와 되니 추던가와 정말 되니 거꾸와는 이 야캅가 하건 중간의 쪽으로 뭐 되도 정말 참던가와를 추지고 말이 참던가와 야캅 참던요 야캅가 가르라나 되니 되나 니 참던만가와 뭐소란 찍미지 가르잖아 플리스 고야 돼요 말이 플리스 약간 정가외드는 대형 모습 플리스 요레스 바인 담배지 요레 바조라 코랑게 조폴라 버시게 소자데 나마데 시헤요레스 코랑 송접지 요레스 어디나 시기더니 수수수수 제 그마마제 즈마시 제 말라파 딕바 마제 마데 마 수수 덱스 송데는 근데 야캅라데 첨시데 고마르시데 마창 첨던 가와레까지 네 첨데 도여 데데 넘버 산제 추란 가와 데니 야캅 첨던 가와 그래서 레가 안데니 수소라 leg number me parata dendete chares
so then we have so it says Dharma Palas possessing the eye of wisdom. So this is the guest of the Dharma Palas in the perfect realm of the Dharma Dhatu, who and then it says who have compassion and power. Actually, she described this like that actually what this means, and it's in Tibetan because Tuje Dan Tuto, which is compassion and great power, is actually referring to Chenrezig and Vajrapani, who So then to all of these guests, of this exalted nature, to the mouths of all of these guests, I offer this Amrita Omahong. And so it's this act of offering again. And then it says paid. So now we're bringing in the guests of the other type that we're giving to in compassion, the objects of our compassion. So first it's offering up to the exalted guests, and then it becomes a gift, down to those who are worthy of compassion and those who are, the most kind of those entities that are the kind of more difficult and hostile beings. So first we're offering to the 6 classes of sentient beings. It says the Samrita is being offered to the sentient beings of the 6 realms of existence in their purified form. So visualizing them in the form of Bhadra Yogini, these beings have been wandering through infinite past lives. So again, when, as was mentioned before, we speak of samsara as a wheel, the wheel of cyclic existence. And this wheel, just like a wheel turns, it's like from lifetime to lifetime, beings are just born again and again. And they, until they achieve liberation, they can't, there's never a break in the turning of this wheel. And so sentient beings have been wandering in cyclic existence throughout the 3 realms and the 6 classes, or the 6 states of cyclic existence, since beginningless time in samsara. And so unless and until they figure out how to get free, then there's never any end to that turning, that death and rebirth, always guided or pulled into one state or another based on the ripening that happened, the karmic ripening of each lifetime. And so then it is addressing, particularly these beings who are in, who we have karmic debts with, that we have maybe either taken their lives, have beaten them, have stolen their possessions, and therefore are indebted to them. And the karma of having done these things at one point or another, it results in either being beaten oneself, having one's lifespan cut short, being killed by someone else, being stolen from. So for instance, there are some who have, even though we're in this advanced and developed country of America, or those who are in Europe, where really there, countries where there's plentiful resources, and it seems, many don't. It seems like it would be difficult to be in a situation where you're really homeless, where you don't have anything, but there are those who, even in the midst of a situation of great abundance and fortitude, end up, completely luckless, and completely destitute, without a roof over their heads, without, even in a country that has tons of food that is wasted, they still can't manage to get enough food to eat. And so this is because of karma. The reason for this is karma. It's because in former lives they have stolen from others. And so in this life, they experience lack, and, not getting enough, not having their needs met. And so it is, for what, recognizing that we ourselves have those different beings or spirits who plague us, and in this life, and that is because we have done something to harm them in the past. And so therefore, with this recognition, then one is offering the nectar to these beings with great compassion.
Naso, dani, da re drog taba tukjin rin ti so je re drog, ndwa re drog dan tini, drone ti so bon, dang so de ze yan burn and drone burn a penna.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot a bunch of other stuff she said. Sorry. Nan mambo lot ma song gong da. Da dong drogo sarara gong da.
So yo.
Okay, sorry. So then she was also saying that you know, and then some people, you know, they end up like actually with situations where they could become very rich, or maybe they start off very rich, but then they lose all of their money. And then there's also, you know, so then she sort of went into how when there is this understanding of karma, and then beings actually on their own decide to follow the law of karma, you know, if everybody were to do this, then you would have no need for like the police, you know, because there is just a natural obedience of the law, because it's, you know, whether we call it like the law of karma, and sort of the natural law of dharma, or also the laws of the land, that when there is this understanding of karma, then naturally there's like protection from the law, because one naturally like abides by the law, and it becomes, like she said, like a cow that is, you know, that when like flies land on their back, their tail just naturally flips up and sort of causes, you know, shoos the flies away, sort of all on its own. And this is like the same way with the mind that is mindful of virtue, that we end up kind of creating our own good circumstances naturally in this way, without having to have any sort of outer system of rules or rule enforcement, you know, directing us, because we sort of direct ourselves on our own in this way. And then we don't break the laws of the land, and we also don't break, you know, the laws of dharma, of karma.
Ani pe si ran xie yin yin yang se tam ngin je de ben de pe dong se ta yin yang nga jia ya dang so so no ba jin nga jia ya dang de cha jia ya de zhe jie jie na ta ben na san jie jiong din de dor ji din na san jie ne de ni san qiu xin zhong le you de ga se ta de dan zhe de so no ba jin da dan dong kan de no ba jin kong ge teni chamba da ninje nga na teni tengen ze na yo de ga se teni da dan dong su cha de so me do cha ba cha son de na shi ge da che ngo zo san je jom tin de ge jin jo yin sam teni che nu pa tang ki zo la chamba da ninje gom de ai na teni ngo zo la che blong len cha re da na cha dong ge che nu pa tang ki de so tang thug ma re 아또 되네 땡창 그vel은 project church 촉바잖아 파전 촉바잖아 pen 유크레인 러시아인 나시티니 체르체르마도 뭐또 찍기라다 다지의 효과 보이는데 체르체르마도 총내다 차르 말세 데든 데는 님보라데는 뭐서가 주 냠네 진트레제시는 소소라 나차용나 나차테 메용와가 까트와단티니 dēnda gēk dē nūpa jīna kā tawā tān sūsū ka līng chā tā sā jāng rūwa dēn zhē yōng gārē.
So then it says, Pate, again, this Amrita is being offered to the spirits and demons possessing destructive spells, doing harm, who are disturbing the beings on their path. Om Mahong. And so here, the example is like that of the Buddha. So when the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, just prior, like as the final challenge or obstacle that he had to face before his enlightenment, before his awakening, he was assaulted by like an army of Maras and demons who assaulted him with weapons, arrows and spears and all sorts of weapons. And the Buddha just remained unwavering in a deep state of samadhi, meditative absorption of love, the meditative absorption of love and compassion. And so remaining unwavering within this, all of the arrows and weapons of the Maras were transformed into flowers. And so they were completely unable to harm him. And so in the same way as we are followers of the Buddha, then we have the responsibility to follow in his footsteps in terms of how we respond to harm doers and obstacle makers, that instead of fighting back, we're pacifists who instead respond with love and compassion, because responding to force and violence with force and violence never succeeds in dispelling force and violence. It only makes it worse. And we can see that on the world stage, when it comes to war, even, in the situation, for instance, with Ukraine and Russia, that whenever sometimes there is this thought, that if we're assaulted, we have to stand up for ourselves, we have to defend ourselves, we have to fight back. But this never actually succeeds in the way that it is thought, that it will be the solution to the problem. It really only ever escalates the problem. It really only ever escalates. When hatred is met with hatred, it only escalates the hatred. And so instead, when we respond to harm, like the Buddha did, with love and compassion, then that is the only thing that can really dispel the energy of harm, that can pacify the energy of harm, hatred, violence, and obscuration. And so this is how here we are in the practice of Chöd, with illness, like spirits causing illness, obstructing forces, demons, and so forth, that we are offering to them with a mind of love and compassion.
Laso that Milar Bag Peck la Garrison Sinna Peck Simon Boyer Japan Peck Sinete Juyak Jayak Peck Lagra Tamala Garrison Sina Namdo Torwa de Say Pecks Tamoto Penna June Dender in Yamne Jekare Jena Jane Zamza Majin Gijin Sorola Namdo the Tondro de Nag Semte Kawan road leka kare sano kare tang the chokan hama thon boyor tente yani dika chu nyamne che indiga zateni pack lam tetini namto thorwate sir ndu thako yores ani ripa singwa jingwa nange pese ta mozo ripa ta pe nyopo
Kare nangi pe kare konta.
ripa sawa nange pe
Rikpa
Jingwa singa ta ni koksun na shi ke che nyop to ro cha jingwa da ra jingwa ta gom na ne jingwa da go bo yo jingwa den de jine cha ro ka so yang pai lan yang sir ka ripa de sang se don pe na de ni sa ja jin bo mo le ya to res lo ngang job to je pe sin ngone jinata 내롱한 저 찾아 침보스는 저 족바 침보 족친스는 됐더니 따와토라 제 야트와 됐더니 팩트 문에 됐더니 내롱 망제고 사자 팀보 독바 팀보 망나 이 따와 톨이 효도가 되지.
So we here there's many occurrences where we utter the syllable pate. And here what pate is particularly connected with in the practice of Chöd is the act of cutting through. But Milarepa describes pate as in three ways. So he explains, what are the qualities of the syllable pate. So he says the outer pate is that which dispels or scatters concepts. So scatter concepts with the utterance of the outer pate. And so that is referring to, for instance, in our meditation, sometimes there's kind of a cloud of just discursive conceptual proliferation that settles in, where our mind is sort of turning with all of the different thoughts that are stirring, what we have to do, this and that, and or any number of different, the content can be any number of different things, but it's just kind of this low-grade conceptual proliferation. And so then when in that case, one confidently utters the syllable pate, then it can have the effect of dispelling the concepts and collecting the mind. So the concepts are dispelled and the mind becomes collected again. And then he says with the inner pate, like brighten the awareness with the utterance of the inner pate. So by uttering pate, then inwardly there can be the effect of when the mind becomes foggy or a little bit, there's fogginess or torpor or sleepiness, then it can brighten the awareness and dispel this torpor or sleepiness so that the mind can rest once again, or awareness can rest once again in the essence of Mahamudra. And then the meaning develop decisiveness in the view with the meaning, the ultimate meaning pate, or by uttering the pate of ultimate meaning, which is referring to establishing the unwavering view of Dzogchen or Mahamudra. So this is referring to pate, which it has the effect of stabilizing realization of the view.
Naso da man kanji den drosin manji del toso da manji del tata tana shibana jike kanji sin kaze ke ngo da manji sin marze ngo ma tati duzu ngo la gyone tini pateya kaze ngo da marze ngo re tende tini duzu rama chungze le bala so ta koni duzu tini nyonyo je lama sin ta res la lama nyonyo lune le pale dunji je tokane zerje kumada tan dunji tatilla rang sem de vajri yogin dinin dunji je tokane zerje pone poma tade deni de kai sin julude ta susu lede pe julu shai ravos pen rachembo chungchong mai ba chembo re samno ta ani thate susu thate deni jamso na shi rupate chamtu ton samsin ta chamtu lan pen chondram na champa mambo do champa de sema odina je pe lin je mi chelin je jikni kamtam je kangder tinje ta jeya gora o tinje je mikpa chembo je je ta to so jeya la karesna kalendo kajeta sarvain kalete sayore kalete china pakke kalesna tinje jeya te kale kapodona 아니 소소게 땅에 심지 탐지 강아 동하유 바다랑에 핀토효 제네드니 잠바다 니게 검데나 코란소 모소 샘스니티 로케 딱이나시리 지베 샘샘스니티 드라침보여 코란소로 핀도여 드니 소소게 진페데 로라 샘네 로라 오나 니 소소 나차당 danzi da so chon for your dente ni marji tertes kale kapoda na nyamne jeo ka do kapsala ni kanji jikpo nyamne chena drayor ni tetso yowa tang so ka nyamne mangsa je tamke yuna ni kanji de marji ni ke chena dres
Gongta de Nigacheya Gadu?
Le tangpo ba ta tesa marji de kale kapondo na kanji de jikpo nyamne chena dres ni so ke ta loma ningba do wen tenje ta kanji de marji ni ke je tasarina ni ke china pe apores
So now we have gone through the white feast. So this practice has essentially these two sections of the white feast and the red feast. And the white feast, involves like the transformation of our corpse into this divine primordial wisdom nectar. And then we're offering that divine primordial wisdom nectar as this substance of our offering. And then we have the red offering or the red feast, which begins on page 11. And so here the visualization is that, we are still in the form of Vajra Yogini, our mind, or from the and there is a Vajra Yogini emanated in the space in front, and there is a ray of light that emanates from her heart, and this then as it touches what is left of the nectar, then it becomes first like a great pile or mountain of flesh. It becomes then an ocean of blood, a pile of bones, filling the whole universe. So now what we're actually visualizing is the flesh, blood, bones as the offering itself that is being offered, particularly to these beings who delight in flesh and blood, or who eat, these who delight in this type of offering. And so here now, if for some people, if it is, even though it's a little bit difficult, it is particularly beneficial, the visualization of the red feast, in especially when it's really permeated, or one is really steeped in a meditative absorption of love and compassion, that this can have the power to cure all sorts of illnesses. It's really powerful in counteracting the mind of self-grasping. But at first, for beginners, sometimes the red feast is more difficult. And so in that case, one can just do the white feast. That can be the primary practice, is the white feast. And then as one starts to feel more comfortable, then one can move on to the red feast. If one is a long-time practitioner and it's not challenging, then one can do both the red feast and the white feast. If one can do both, it's best and beneficial to do both.
Naso tene nanji sipel handes ta moso nang lan che khache la hando che la yore pola yore ta che nang la che dus ton mo de nga no pa chi hindo se tende da nanji sipel hande ta tene kai la se de se de je tene karpo la de sos na po de so ta de so mo so gram de main sara so se chao zai de so se ta de so chang de kare se na mo so nyamne je ka sa tende de no pa jin ki tende de so tene mo po le de so se po jin je de so mo po me de so se po de ni na na ta mo so la chen por do to ni ka ja de se tende de 홍보 lö에 대해서 되니 lö가 나타가 용야 다 진짜 마보지 용거를 됐다 그래서 주 냠리야고 제선나 되니 lö가 나타 되니 ni 나타
Wait, yabo, so lugi natsa, ningi natsa, yeah.
그래서 나타 참데 다트 그랬어 당연히 어제는 제는 줄을 냠니 마보지 제야요 그래서 너들이 휴현은 그거나 봐라 핀데마도 노지 말이서도 가시 잠잠 지는 니 먹고를 된다 요나더니 주 냠니 지네 주진스네 마참 냐지네 되니 주 땅기 된다 되니 냐지네 곰 자는 니 가시니 코로 가시니 코마르르 제는 땅아 통보들은 진바다 차과메바다 가래나 제효이 선 냐된 제트가 냠내제는 나타 니 콜리 라텔은 나타 핑거리 다 가시야 민카나 나타 차든 조보데르더니 세레르메는 파루 참블라워랑 소 루라워를 지 루신 하고요 벤나 헤마 플로리다는 뉴네 데든 것ഒക്കെ 데 참베제마
Oh, yeah.
나시 말라 파 가르스나 르르 메네데 양 참블러 세르르 메네양 디 주다야요 참베제사스 양 카시 메칸나 나사나네 마다는 네바든데 차티유나야 민칸나론 네 다딘자 다완네나 민칸나론 주당 네 용가마라다 보네 다다요리 콤서 데데제네 양 자자송게 데데데 마보 제데네 제 줄든 피요 마보 요바 자송 요바 요 답변은 라마르 소소가 자르 라마인데 소소게 파마인데 소소 빈자인데 나차유나 다 델레세레르 메네양 주동아이나 데존 나차자야다 라마이나 라마 끝에 랭포 휴야게 어 냠노지아요레스
So dini di te sako masong pena dina di nyalne dini ni kukba nangshin dini di de zubo lolo chane di ki di dodo gi dun de la yapo ko masong.
마치랑 당어저 바스트랑
Re cheba nangshin. Yena de pena dina di yang gande yongi opa de pena dampo chigi ni maku iya ki kable yona dini di la ma yo marwa.
니 마콜라 칼레 유나 아주 tin 제 쪼니라고 쪼니라도 아마 니지 니지는 다 소소 니데게 되게 땅 소소 조пол라더니 차과의 신바면 같은 거 소포드다 라제 이게 서는 애제이 선느냐 냐den 근데 주 땅게 맥바체는 되제는 양 ni koya ke taphi yores ni makul
okay tena sung ba yana samsung ya la so deni yang chitang tena ni nata mambo draya ki judo chagere sung yoro
in the repat de da mada chia yores nyamni
so then here as it says then this I offer to the gods and the demons of the whole of samsara and to the demons belonging to the 8 groups who follow the teachings of the Buddha, to the white gods belonging to heaven. And so now it's like addressing all of these different categories, these different types of beings who actually are usually associated also with causing particular types of illness. So the group of black demons, the group of red ones belonging to the Tsin demons, the group of the striped ones belonging to Za demons or planetary demons, the group of blue ones belonging to Nagas. So there's a whole class of different types of illnesses often associated with like the skin and things that are caused by thought to be caused by nagas. And then there's this whole class of illnesses that are thought to be caused by this group of yellow Nyin demons, and a whole class of different types of illnesses that are thought to be caused by this group of brown Muk demons. And so in practicing Chöd, and also when Chöd is done as healing Chöd, meaning, in cases, so sometimes there's the healing Chöd where everybody lies down and then the Lama will practice Chöd. And somebody who really has some real power in their practice that they can, through the power of their meditative absorption and the power of kind of coming together with both the faith and the effect of that the Chöd has on the participant who's experiencing the healing, then there are all sorts of illnesses that can be cured also through the healing Chöd. So for instance, and some people, for some people who are suffering from insomnia, and then they, in the presence of the master's, meditative absorption, who, when it's somebody who's a practitioner of Chöd, then they just completely let go, and sort of surrender, and the body becomes completely relaxed, and they feel sort of safe in the presence of the guru, or the Lama who is performing the Chöd. And then they're able to say, just, take my body, take it, partake of it, enjoy. And there's this profound relaxation that can happen in that surrender, which then can allow for healing to take place. And so then often in a situation like that, those who are suffering from insomnia and can't sleep will drift into sleep. They'll be able to cure their insomnia. And likewise, even with other types of illnesses, especially those that are particularly associated with the harm of these different types of demons, like nagas and yin spirits and so forth. And then through just receiving the blessing of a of a profound Chöd practitioner, and really letting go and completely relaxing into the experience of the practice, then there is profound healing that can take place. And there often, when these rituals are done too, there's like it's a type of torma that's kind of like a ransom, or something that, like, when the participant then squeezes the like sampa and kind of creates this particular type of torma in doing so, then they have the thought that whatever this illness is that I need help with, may it like be, go into this kind of ransom or this torma, and then that torma is offered to the spirits, and then it can really have a profound effect in healing that problem or that illness. And sometimes in Tibet these days, you probably couldn't go to a hospital with a bunch of Chöd practitioners and practice Chöd for the patients there in the hospital. But in Tibet, sometimes it's done where Chöd practitioners will go to hospitals and practice Chöd for all of the people who are there in the hospital. And it can be very beneficial for the patients. Mm-hmm. And so in general, the practice of Chöd, of course, the objective is to counteract the mind of self-grasping, to progress on the path to awakening, to lead to the attainment of like the final fruition. But along with that, there are a lot of temporary benefits that come, like recovering from illness, practicing on behalf of, like, for your root, can prolong the lifespan of your root lama. You can, create conditions for longevity and healing and curing illnesses for your loved ones and relatives. and it can also create the conditions for one's own longevity. So there's like a lot of health benefits in the practice of Chöd.
Now, so any that burning at one judgment the true not on it, you tongue to the judge that burning the truth is a tama rigan pa sadon redon the truth. That one in the truth, young JK Jaya down to Sotama Dapo, you some Jeto Marim, the true and the tongue the Japan Toyoba, Mampoja Jungayori. That's what the name that in Joni Jungle Sabdag de Societa, Janko Jade, the Sabdag de So, Yaka simple de so to see. That last one and Drapetin, Saya dependent on so simply Jankan Ashita, Saya Kawanto, Saya Kawanto Tantoki, the Longson and Drempe do seta, long ban on the Johnson and Drempe demos, that in the main Santum, Button, Gartum, Letum, Perga, Pernas in the Pergapo, Chiki, Mishipuni.
Hey, kapar tu ngaya pokogan mendo tes la song.
Oh,
Django Sada ki dets
so yeah, chat with that so Jungle Sabda the 12 page 12.
Chuvar.
Journey. This the page and the journey narration. So yeah, just if it is a page 12.
Page 12.
So Tama Chikaris and the Melanupa Tayarata the Jerry, they ended down also get pa Cernupa Tangela Pate de Anna, so get taken at the Cernupa Tang Matabatin was a simply Tamji San Pama Maseva Chica made the Jiji some Jenny Bergarpo, Bernaupo, loss of a Dupajina, the Setam Sinate, Sekas and Nutinke. Za transon za sina je ngozoke za sina ta nima za fen zins nima da dawa to tan jam ngozo pun lokse tan je yor je nima zina tan zina na po chan ro to sak sa ro res o don la sabda sitin o la yoba lok sabda pala yoba tin tirang tan Sema façon de jeba sema la ne tadyanki. De sanje ji de jeba jewa je pardonni ya mele tang simji de ro la jema ta pato cham da ge de do ta ge je ra mi ban de ko ge sin de na pe hyos. Et de la tena hong si ko son ko dor de son dor de tok dor de ge de sinap jine de hyos den de hyas os ta kare en na je hyoin 소소 개체 소소라 착받은 집안 미반의 제혀에는 그런선 근데 소소는 누가 땅터 말이스
So then also she said one, as you probably heard with the practice of Chöd, it's very commonly done in charnel grounds or cemeteries and thought to be especially powerful when practiced in that way. Often in Tibet, the cemeteries or charnel grounds are in kind of high on like a mountain or, up on a mountain peak or something. Of course, here most cemeteries are private, so it probably would be hard, to practice Chöd in a cemetery, but there is that tradition of practicing there. So anyway, we continue in the text where it says then to the group of green ones. And so these are still going through all of these different groups of spirits and demons and harm doers, who can cause obstacles, illness, and problems for humans. So the group of green ones belonging to the spirits of the earth, the group of yaksha demons, the 10 demons living on the 3 passes, to those demons living in the junction of 3 valleys, to the female demons living in the street, and other demons those demons harmful to living beings. And so again, the main thing is to really overcome that mind of fear with regard to these different beings and spirits, and instead to give rise to a mind of love and compassion without any fear or any intent to harm, recognizing the connection or having a sense of affection, realizing that, or seeing them as, our own kind mother or father, recognizing that at one point in time or another, they've been our mother or father. And then when there's this kind of affection and love, then they can't do any harm to us. They can't cause us any harm. And so then, as it says, the demons, besides on the top of planets, so actually this is referring to like the planetary spirits. So there's also, the planetary spirits and so forth, which is and like this is also connected with things like eclipses. So sometimes when they say in Tibet, and the word for lunar or solar eclipse is Nidzin or Dazin, where it said that these, where they kind of like eat the earth, or the sa zagi yure la yunbe. The Nidzin katla Dadzin katla deni de sa zagi yure la songe gare.
Nidzin kat sa sai.
Gare la bien the Nidzin gi katla. Maybe I misunderstood that. Never mind.
Anti dörshon den de sha so la dene.
Mare the pena de za yorwa za teni Nidzin dang Dadzin gi korla.
Zan zima de so de zan zin and de za ka sa ro ri sa ma de za ro de za de ma ta ngo zo de sa ro de na ko cha ro yora.
So anyway, these like eclipses, where not literally like are they eaten, but they become black, and this sort of indicates that there's sometimes like harm from spirits that like are in particular happen at these times. Under the earth, the nagas and the spirit of the earth. In the middle, Nyen demons with Gemma, a kind of which is a kind of demons, and all other kinds of demons, Shide, all assembled together instantly by the power of the yogi. And so then we say Hong, 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 which are here have the meaning of Vajra body, Vajra speech, Vajra mind. And so then they're drawn, they're all like helplessly drawn, come here, gather here, eat flesh, drink blood. And so all of these beings come all at once and partake of the offering. So the main thing is that in the offering, we're completely free of grasping and fixation, and just completely relinquish any grasping or fixation, and are openly giving. And in that open giving, they cannot cause us any harm.
Laso ta pek hong to sipetemo michenta konni tatishin to sipetemo de yan to hite ta ma nyarwana ma hite teni nara nyarwa yinche da teni nyarwa yinche te nagi sipasta suzo ke chek du sampa de nang sip lande kan yupate dagja yunchu manar kesin dagja yunchu man nor nuji chewa suzo no batiki chewa sinki solo chewa sinki de geg the party sinki chimtra on da mandata ngoso chimtra na na je ta penna lapsala mala de pa kontam jo de ni je dan ye la yebda chimtra da mandaton de jera odina je don je dona Then this was some that dingy here, Nanka Jin so in the direction, Ben Nankani, Jimba, Yopo, yon the Jing to ordinary in Yopo direction, but Nangin. Then it Charpa Balina Hichiranzo, Jed do the Yopo yonologist, Sai in the longer in the services, certain long term about the talent young the ordinary in Yopo yonology. Then it's Savasha and then I just say, then I use. Don't yak chat on Montana use. Juyak and the ruler Juyak Papa Carego na de use it del draw use. All the digit didn't make bad in that juice in the bed. Carison make barigo, make ba. Carison Dar Dramareta, Treveta, Jenny Kaken, Dantin, Yaya, the dead and yam the make back that. Taking a rank Lushataka Jimbataya, Carping on Jimbataya. Then Mapo on Jimbataya, that be Yamni Jig and attack. One Jig Hak was on a Tuesday. Then it be Samadhi Lamare, then Jig Semte. Jidan and Ron Sami Pape, concentration Yapo Chagris.
Drupon la pache de tu zenura.
Magunda.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah. So so then it continues. It says, so those who like flesh eat it, those who like blood drink it, those who like bones gnaw it, those who like skin wear it as clothes, pay it. And so we're really just, any and every possible, desire that may be had by these beings, we're without any hesitation, without holding anything back, we're just completely without withholding anything, offering to them whatever it is that will please them, that will delight them, that will pacify them, then we're offering it all without any clinging or attachment. And so then it says, Hung, from the top of samsara down to the lowest, or to the peak from the peak of existence down to the lowest realms and hell, all demons and spirits who cause harm to us, who cause harm or to our wealth or possessions, or those causing any sort of obstructions, obstacles to lifespan and so forth, these demons who can perform miracles. So actually it's more like the demons who this is referring to, who do all sorts of, not performing miracles is not really the right translation there, I don't think, but it's more like, who are up to all sorts of mischief and do all sorts of kind of apparitional displays, like the example of the stories that we hear about of, Milarepa and Lapchi, when demons appeared to him, spirits appeared to him and did all, in all sorts of different forms with all of these different crazy apparitions. And so we're inviting all of these different types of spirits and beings to be summoned before us in the sky. So it says, all assemble together in the sky before you, like gathered clouds, or descending down like rain, rush to this place like a strong wind. This is a place where you will get plenty of flesh to eat, much blood to drink, much warm skin to wear, if that will delight you, and delicious marrow to chew. May there rise instantly a massive heap of offerings for you, all you demons, to satisfy your senses. And so when we're doing this and we're reciting these words, and we're also focusing our mind on the visualization, and then we have so much going on. We're playing the damaru, we're playing the bell, we have the melody with, that we're reciting with our speech. And so all of these different attributes of the practice help to concentrate the mind so that we're really not even able to think of other things. We're really like one-pointedly absorbed in the practice or concentrated on the practice.
Thank you.
So now we are at time and we'll go ahead and close. So just wants to say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for attending and really listening and really practicing well. You're all really practicing very well. And so she said, now when we recite the prayers, I just wants to put first and foremost your root lama, Traga Rinpoche, with prayers and aspirations, for his health and well-being, together with that of all of our precious teachers, and dedicate the merit, for the welfare and benefit, liberation of all sentient beings. So the practice of dedication is so important. When in our mind, when we sort of are rejoicing in the virtue that we have engaged in that session that you're making the dedication for, it's like taking all of that virtue that has been generated at this time, together with all of the virtue of all sentient beings, and dedicating it all at once, to the welfare, benefit, and happiness, both temporary and ultimate, for all sentient beings. There's really great benefit in doing this, because when we do that, then whatever merit we have accumulated, it can never be exhausted. Ooh, sorry, something just it can never be exhausted. It just continues to expand and increase. Whereas if we don't dedicate the merit, then it may ripen once, but it can be very easily exhausted. So, or even also counteracted and lost, like in a moment of anger or negative emotion, then that can have the potential or the power to destroy our accumulated merit. Whereas if we dedicate our merit, then it can never be destroyed, even in a temporary moment of anger or affliction.
Thank you.
On the bottom of page, I'm sorry.